I'm Bob Graham. I'm the Director of the Chang Cardiac Research Institute, and I'm very concerned about the proposed cuts by the federal government. The government wants to cut $100 million a year for the next 4 years. That's right, $100 million for the next 4 years. Now let me tell you that the government generates $100 million every 2.85 hours. That's right, every 2.85 hours it generates $100 million. So all we have to do is wait an extra 2.85 hours and the government will be able to balance its budget and we won't have any cuts.
Medical research has been extremely important in changing the way that we treat many diseases. This ranges across all the scope of medical research, from immunological diseases like Hodgkin's disease to many cancer treatments. My mother died of breast cancer, and I know for a fact that she had experimental tamoxifen for the last couple of weeks of her life, and that now that is a routine treatment that all women who get breast cancer go on have. And so over 20 years, something was experimental is now a routine treatment which helps save women with breast cancer.
I think the message I'd like to get across is that medical research funding should be seen as an investment, not as a cost. And I think to cut research funding at this point would be a really short-sighted measure, and especially in context of an ageing population where people are going to be getting more and more chronic diseases, we really need to find better ways of treating those diseases and save an awful lot of money in the future.
I'm Peter Schofield, Director at Neuroscience Research Australia. I'm at the rally today because we want to send that very clear message. What can medical research do? Well, it does things that help me, it helps you, it helps our families. Medical research saves lives, saves dollars.
Well, I think the importance of medical research really speaks for itself, but I think one issue is what is really happening today, and I think what we've seen here today, in my long history of being involved with medical research, I've never really seen anything like this before, and I think this is a really key thing, and I think it's very successful in getting the message over, and let's hope it's successful with its intended purpose.
We're here to demonstrate because we don't believe cutting medical research is something that's going to enhance Australia as being the next generation where we can fight diseases. This is a backward step and something that's really important for all of us. And as you can see, we've got multiple people here who are also just as passionate as we are about this cause.
Medical research has been enormously successful over the last 100 years in devising new methods to treat human diseases, and the success rate in doing this is becoming better and better, and it just has to continue in the future.
Okay, well, medical research is obviously very important for discovering new treatments for all sorts of different diseases, and cuts to any funding to medical research could really set back the industry in Australia by a long way. And not only that, it could see a number of talented scientists and people who've worked very hard to get to where they are have to shut down their labs and leave the industry for good, and we don't know what new discoveries might be missed by people like that leaving.
I have to tell you, this is my first time ever, to attend a protest in Australia. For 30 years, I have never attended a protest. This is the first one.
Medical research keeps people alive. Don't cut the funding.
Garvan Institute of Medical Research.
We're from the
Children's Medical Research Institute at Westmead.
Come on. Neuroscience Research Australia.
Medical research, which is so fundamental to health outcomes, is still only less than 1% of the total health spend in Australia, state and federal. People don't understand it. And so we don't need cuts. We need a maintenance and an increase, in fact, in this research effort to solve health costs, to solve health problems around the country.
The thing that has brought us along today is, firstly, passion. Yes. Secondly, we are all beneficiaries of medical research. If you've had a vaccination, if you've had any disease, whatever, you are a beneficiary of medical research. Now, when I was told to wear orange, like a good researcher, like a good girl, I just wore it, and then I started to ask why. And I've only found out today that orange is the symbol of hope and encouragement.
The direct medical costs to the healthcare system in this country from just these obesity-related illnesses, diabetes and cardiovascular, are somewhere north of $10 billion per annum, to which you can add a very big figure, extra figure, for the lost productivity that goes with sickness, sick days off, and carer costs. The most important way we can ever reverse these costs is via evidence-based preventative measures and the discoveries from medical research.
My name is Vanessa Yenson. I stand here today as a cancer survivor and as a scientist. I represent the amazing feats of medical discoveries, both as a patient and as a medical researcher. 14 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia. As a patient, I went through rigorous chemotherapy, accompanied by anti-nausea and preventative medication, such as antibiotics, antivirals, and antifungals, as well as blood product transfusions. In 1999, I relapsed and underwent more chemotherapy and total body irradiation before becoming the first adult in Australia to receive a bone marrow transplant from cord blood. As a patient, I realised that the chemotherapy and irradiation saved my life by killing the cancer cells and getting me into remission. This technology came from medical research. The unemployment rate of scientists will rise as many of us will not be able to get a job because institutes and universities do not have the money to hire. There will be a brain drain of scientists and researchers going overseas or leaving science altogether. The universities will not lower their intake of students, so the fight for a job will just get harder year after year. The industries which rely on research will start feeling the pinch. The companies that supply general lab equipment, tech staff, sales reps, consumables and reagents will have to let people go due to a downturn in business. All these highly educated and qualified people will then compete for non-science jobs. And just think, any potential breakthroughs that may save your life in the future may never happen because disillusioned researchers have left the profession. As I come to the end of my PhD, I find myself searching overseas jobs websites and contemplating a career change before I've had a chance to really get started. Please, please, please do not cut the funding to medical research.
Today is about telling stories. It's about telling stories about why, if this rumour about cutting medical research funding is true, why it is so awful and why it just cannot go forward. And this is not just for medical researchers. This is for the health and life and long life of Australian people.
David Karpin is a former chairman at the Royal Hospital in Melbourne. He suffered a stroke just over a year ago and came to Sydney to undergo treatment at St Vincent's Hospital. He's very successfully participated in a study funded by the NHMRC to improve recovery for stroke victims at the Neuroscience Research Institute of Australia. David Karpin has come along today to share his experiences of medical research with us.
Thank you for that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I have experience as a patient, a medical administrator and a Biotech Research Institute founding director. As a patient, 18 months ago, at the age of 67 years, I suffered a severe stroke. I was severely disabled. I could not stand or walk. Today, I can now live an independent life. Next year I intend to enrol in a master's degree at the University of Sydney. My transformation is primarily due to the application of high-quality medical research to patient treatment.
Medical research is the most extraordinarily demanding, unglamorous career, requiring countless hours, often overnights and weekends, of methodical, tedious, repetitious experimentation, data analysis, problem solving and troubleshooting. Many are warning that these massive cuts would mean the young people, these young researchers, will have to lose their jobs. Obviously, some of them will find jobs overseas in countries which place more value on the abundant intellectual capital that they have to offer. But what's going to inspire young people to get into this sort of career when the government sends such a clear signal that universities and research centres, the thinking hub of our society, are such a low priority? In the UK, which is facing a far worse economic situation than we are, the government recently announced that they're going to put in an additional 1.3 billion into medical and science funding. The Prime Minister explained that they've got some of the best scientists and facilities in the world and they don't want to lose them. Australia also has world-leading scientists and particularly medical researchers. We can't afford to lose them either.
I'm an eye doctor. I'm proud to hail from the Westmead Millennium Institute and to work at Westmead Hospital in Sydney, which is in Blue Ribbon Labor territory. I just want to give you a recent example of the benefits of NHMRC funded research. You might have heard Nicola Roxon talking in the last few days about the recent program of plain, actually olive-coloured packaging for cigarette packets with these disease labels taking most of the package. The hope is to reduce Australia's smoking rate down to 10%. And Nicola, actually, we're all behind you in doing this. We know the huge cost to Australian health from smoking. I just really wanted to remind Nicola that the evidence base for this finding, that smoking actually increased the risk of blindness, came from our study in the Blue Mountains Eye Study some years ago. This was a long-standing NHMRC funded project which made many discoveries among some 400 papers.
What is medical research all about? Why are we doing this? You know, we're doing it to halt the mental decline we see in Alzheimer's. We're doing it to prevent and reverse the diabetes and obesity epidemic that's challenging us so enormously, especially our children. We're doing it to reduce the suffering in arthritis, to prevent the crippling pain of osteoporosis. We're doing it because we really believe in the not too distant future we'll be able to banish death from many cancers into the history books. And if we don't continue to have the outstanding leadership in medical research here, we will not be able to translate those research discoveries from around the world into new, better ways to prevent and cure disease for the Australian community. So at a time when government, and I truly believe this government is genuinely trying to reform the healthcare system, to address the challenges of the ageing population and the increasing costs of healthcare, they are genuine about that. If you're genuine about that, why do you talk about cutting the really essential, crucial element that will deliver the solutions to the problem? It's intimately entwined and linked to the long-term social and economic health of our nation. And it's personal. It's not just financial, it's personal. It's about the quality of life for us, our parents, as we've heard, our kids, our grandchildren and future generations. It is at the core of what we are. And as a developed nation with a proud record of medical research and an enormous capacity to improve the quality of life for all of our community, we have to keep up this constant dialogue with government to make sure we get the right result. Thank you.
They contacted me like 3 weeks ago. I said, look, I've got